So you want to know whether you should give Throne and Liberty a try. It's going to be a little bit of a chit chat, to be honest, on my experience over the last 8 or 9 months, sort of seeing the game sort of develop and grow. I will jump straight into it, to be honest. This is how the world bosses work. Now, back in the day, the way this worked was there was no portals. There was just this world boss, and everything was kind of in open world. Now, this had its perks because it was bloody awesome. You just saw everybody here fine, especially if you had max character count on. It was some of them were insane, and it was a really fun experience. What they've done to essentially help server performance is introduce these portals. Now, on this particular boss, there's 3. What this also has done is allowed for more loot to spawn and drop. So let's just jump into them. All of them are good, which is, it's all about the amount of players inside. So the less players, the more chance you get for a drop. Now, this is quite an early game boss now, and as you can see here, there's a few bosses available. Excavator is the weakest boss of the bunch here. You probably want to be heading to Leviathan, Dagon, but maybe even Junoboat early on if you can get in there. But there's better bosses to farm here, so we're just at a lower tier one. So hopefully he doesn't get one shot, because at this stage of the game, bosses are essentially dying within seconds. You don't get to see any mechanics. So I'm probably just going to hit this guy once and then do nothing. I'm just going to just let these guys do the work and see if we can see some mechanics. Now, Excavator doesn't have too many mechanics, so it's quite an easy one. Why am I talking about this? Mainly because world bosses are one of the biggest parts of this game, and that's content-wise, but also gearing-wise, which then leads on to so much more. You can see top right, we've got 57 seconds left before this guy starts. So I'll give you a bit more information about the bosses and how they work. So if you open your map and go to the schedule, you will see on the left-hand side here, this is all content that's going to be happening. Red ones are world bosses, greens or whatever the bluey, greeny colour, they're events. Now, with both sets of these kind of world events, they're all PvP and PvE. There are more if you click the daily tab. Now, I've been having this issue. We're currently parked up in a forest using Starlink, using 4G, and unfortunately we are being in a forest. There is this tree coverage above us, and I keep getting disconnected, so hopefully I can get back in. Obviously play this not from a van. In the forest using satellite there, so it's not a good shout. Hopefully I'm still in the boss. I am, and we have arrived just in time. Let's get it on, Excavator. I remember when we first saw this, he was absolutely awesome, and everyone was sort of at a similar level of gear and just took a bit of a beating from him. Like I say, we'll just auto attack him, so hopefully he does a couple of big smashes. Every boss is unique. Every boss has different sets of abilities. Some of them have some raid wipe mechanics as well. If you remember Azrael, that was amazing seeing that for the first time. He's doing some mad shit now. But yeah, the core part of Throne and Liberty is playing it with friends or playing it with a guild. Now, a lot of you guys have asked whether this game is playable solo, and the bottom line is it is. There is content for you to do as a solo player. I mean, I'm here as a solo player, working together in the open world with other players, but essentially I'm here on my own. Of course I need other people, but it's not required to team up with them or do anything with them. But it is a guild-focused game. It is a PvP focused game, but while I say that, there is a lot of PvE. Now, the reason we say it's a PvP focused game is because quite a bit of what you do is you gear your character up to then go and participate in these big battles. Now, there is enough content that should you not want to participate in these big battles, you just don't have to. You can see there's probably less than 10 of us here. Boss dies, rewards come out, and of course I get nothing. But these guys have managed to pick up some loot, and now what you can do with that loot is either sell it on the auction house, use it as a use it on your character, extract the traits. There's a wealth of things you can do. Right, let me tell you what first got me excited about Tier Now. Now, when you load into the game for the first time, if you give this a try, you will be absolutely blown away of how kind of crispy the game is. The graphics are amazing. The performance is top notch. The events that they've been putting on are brilliant. Like this is happening now. They've just decorated the town square. But this is literally the first place you walk into, and you're kind of met with these massive town. You know, it's absolutely brilliant. As you make your way through the game, you'll head up to Starlight Observatory, you head down to Vienta Village, you start to get into the nitty-gritties of Shattered Temple and the ruins over there, underground in the Sandworm lair. But the game just has so much depth to it. Like literally, this is a 6 floors of a dungeon, or basement 6, basement 5, basement 4. All of them have their own unique mobs. Some of them even have like actual world bosses that drop mega loot. The dungeons are great because at night time they become PvP and daytime they're PvE. Just generally, the game at its core is really, really, really good. The reason I think you should give it a try, one, it's quite simple. It's free. The game is completely free to play. You are definitely encouraged to spend some money, especially buying the battle pass. You know, the rewards you get on the battle pass really they really do help your character. And there's also something called a leveling log pass as well. You are pretty encouraged to buy them. They don't shove it down your throat. What they do shove down your throat is the skins, but that's just, you know, I think that's kind of cool. There's a lot of cool skins you can buy in the game. And some of them are event-based bits. I remember seeing these in the auction house. Yep. Nuts, mate. Really, really cool. The content itself as well is really nice. And one of the biggest parts for me is playing with a guild. Like, again, I said you can play solo, but if you play this as a guild, the guild functionality in the game is just second to none, really. So this is how it essentially looks. You got the overview of your guild, all the members in there when they last logged on. The rewards that guildies get. So if you participate in a event, not a world boss, but one of these like open world events. So for example, Stop the Mana Frenzy. And if a guildie does well, it's a little reward pops up in here that everyone else gets access to as well. You get your guild skills, your guild contracts. This is where you get to declare war on other boon stones and rift stones and everything. So we could shove these down as a declare there. No one's actually owns them, so we'll just put them in there. Maybe we'll win them. You can then use those resources for your skills and summoning stones and bonuses, and you also then have this really cool distribution system. As you can see here, the guys have been picking this up and it's all got sales on it. But what we should do is, while we're in the game, we can manage this and give it to the guild members. So the guys that are still playing are actually going to get their loot because they haven't been getting it, and now I've just noticed it. I feel terrible. Who got this? Oh dear. So I can now, this is also another great system. You can come in here, put it as an auction within your guild. You can transfer it directly to the player or a particular player if you want to gear that person up. So Shan got this. Where is he? He's not even here. Maybe he got annoyed and left the guild. But I could pick this person and transfer them the weapon straight away. You can also sell it within the guild for a fixed price, which would transfer, which would then allow you to get loosened within the guild. So let's say you've got a couple of guys that don't mind spending some money, they could then buy that, or they could buy that piece of armor or whatever from the guild, which then comes into a profit distribution screen, which then allows you to distribute that profit between your guilds, so everyone kind of benefits really. We're actually looking at using that system on global, which I think would be really nice. But in short, the content is brilliant. Like the open world content for me is kind of really what ticks the boxes. You have these really cool like 6-man dungeons as well, which get really hard, and you have Mythic Plus style systems in here as well. But the core and the end game for me currently, one, we've had a little look over this mountain here, and this is going to be a place called Danneh Rift. Now, if you're familiar with Guild Wars 2, they're introducing something like World v World. We don't have any details on it yet, apart from the fact that they announced this when the game launched. They announced Talandre, which launched a few weeks ago, and now they also announced Danneh Rift, which will be a server v server scenario. Now, the idea really behind playing the game now, knowing that all this awesome content's coming, is that you know that when you invest time in your character, it's not going to be put to waste. What you can do currently, which is sort of the current end game for most of us, is the siege wars and tax delivery. Now, a lot of you guys will know what the siege wars are by now, but essentially this is it. This is the castle you're going to fight over, and you can see here it's a siege finished recently. You got attackers spawning outside, defenders spawning inside, and essentially you can control these golems here, and then take them in, smash down the walls, smash down the gates, and that's essentially what you can see has happened here. The guys who now own the castle have to pay for the repairs of the castle ahead of the next siege, so they have a better chance of defending it. You can see here the flag or the emblem of those who currently own it. What is that? Some sort of Egyptian McDoggy. Alright, nice. But the castle is absolutely brilliant, and this is sort of the pinnacle of the end game, and you have all of these really cool functions within the castle as well. So all of these merchants and things disappear, but these do appear, and these are essentially pillage points and respawn points. So castle wall pillage point, castle wall respawn point, and you can obviously capture these and then respawn on them, or you can capture these and every 5 minutes you take money from the castle. And as you can see here, there is 21 billion Solan here and 150,000 Lucent. Now, as it stands currently, to buy Lucent, it works out roughly like this. On the current servers, it's 99,000 Korean won for just over 4,000 Lucent, which works out to be around £56, $70. You can see here, there's 156,000 here. And you can buy 4,000 yourself on the market. Now, at the end of the siege, you don't get all of this, but you get a portion of it, and this is really exciting to fight for, because if you and your guild succeed, then you get part of this money. There's some really cool functions here. I'll go and show you. There is like a sewer over there which you can teleport in if you've got the daggers. This is sort of the inner keep, so a lot of people fight on the outer keep, and actually getting into the inner keep is quite tough. There's another sewer down there which is currently flooded. I'll show you from the other side. You can get through the sewers, and there are rats that spawn in the sewer that, if you're a dagger player, you can teleport to these rats. But as a few of our enemies know, if you come in here when it rains, the water level rises. It's really like, sounds kind of simple, but it's really cool. You don't see this in many games. You also have a couple of side doors that, if you can get a couple of members in, maybe get a couple of spies into the enemy guild that's defending it, you can pull these levers here, which will open this gate to the outer castle. You also have a gate on the side here which opens it to the complete outside of the castle. So imagine you had two spies in the enemy guild, and halfway through the fight they just come over here, and you've got all of your guild waiting outside, and they open the door and you can just flood in. It's just, this is sort of like the pinnacle end game. And my main concern about all of this is that the gearing process is quite punishing for new players, and also it takes quite a bit of time to get yourself geared up in the game if you're not spending the money to do so. But this is just wicked. And yeah, we had a quick peek over the horizon here, looking into the next zone, and it just looks like loads of castles and loads of places that you can essentially PvP and capture. So it might be something very similar to World v World. But yeah, these are what the pillage points look like. There's another one there. So if you could get in, there's the sewer exits there. Come in here, come down here, capture the pillage point, and fight over it, and earn some money for your guild. But this is kind of like the pinnacle of the end game. The end game for TNL. Now there is one more piece of content that I currently really love. It's called Tax Delivery Mission. Now Vienta Village also collects tax off you, and it goes to this lovely man here. And again, if you open your map and put your mouse over it, you can see there's not as much, but there is still some Lucent and still some Solent in here. Now the defending team of the castle can summon a golem here. They set up the event, they summon the golem here, and they have to run it through the desert, up this walkway here, through these gates, and as they make their way through, there's like blockages that they have to fight and break down, and it's just, I haven't had a good one yet, but it is really sort of end game pinnacle kind of caravan style content, and this is available. Both of these events are available to the whole server. It's not like it's just one guild versus one guild. It's absolutely chaos, and everybody can get involved. Even if you're a small 5-man group, you can come along, beat up the golem a little bit, and the more damage you do to the golem, the more money you receive. So it's actually really exciting. Outside of the PvP, if you're not really interested in the PvP, you have the co-op dungeons, and then you have the Mythic Plus content here, which you can push through and get to level 30, and it's quite rewarding because it's actually quite difficult. And another piece of great PvE content is secret dungeons. So this is like the solo content. So if you are a complete solo player and you're not playing with anybody else, head to the secret dungeons. There's an escape secret dungeon, and then you also have this. You have this piece of content called Gate of Affinity, which isn't like Mythic Plus, but you're kind of competing with other players. So you'll see that there's different challenges on the left-hand side, but you can also then see the top-ranking players with your class. So this guy here is also, you can also, yeah, so, excuse me, that's the top rankings overall, but this is all the rankings, so you can see the different weapon combinations. No one's running sword, shield, sword, shield. Now that is my kind of build. Let me run it. But yeah, you can see it. Bow. People can do, whatever. You get the idea. It puts all the different classes in here, and you can then essentially see who's ranking the best and who's ranking the highest, which is pretty exciting. So if you're into kind of pushing PvE limits and sort of ranking a little bit, this system's good for you. It's periodic. It happens over time, and once you log into the once you load into the fight, you'll be met with a little arena, and you essentially have to fight your way through the boss. So as you can see, I'm a mega noob. I think I might be able to kill him, but it's going to take me quite a bit of time. But this is really nice content. Leave me alone, buddy. That's it, really. Just kind of a little bit of a chat, just to let you know why I think you should give TNL a go. And the very short summary is the game's going to be free. You can compete if you're a free-to-play player versus a pay-to-win player. It is completely possible. You just have to really put in the time and effort to, you know, get that competition going. Visually, the game's brilliant. The content they've done a really good job with. The only real downside is the gear gap. Like if you really do have, this is quite hard to explain. I have what you would call relatively good endgame gear, right? It's all pink tier 2, but because I haven't put loads of traits in, it's really affected me. So I could be a tier 2 endgame geared player, but without spending a lot of time trading or a lot of money trading, my character isn't useless, but he might as well be useless in PvP. So there is this kind of gear disparity that if you still put in a relatively sensible amount of time, you still have to really work hard on your traits, and the trading system and the gearing system is quite, I think the term we keep saying is punishing for new players. It's quite a system to get your head around, and there's quite a few systems behind it. So we will definitely be doing some guides and bits and bobs on it, but just a quick chat about TNL, and yeah, get in. Make sure you get in at launch or as close as you can to launch, because the gear gap between players is so small. Everyone's locked behind these milestones, and they periodically unlock. So if you miss the launch by a few days or even a week, it's no problem. You can really get in and catch up. But yeah, definitely play on launch. Definitely give it a go yourself. And yeah, I'd love to know in the comments how you feel about the game, and yeah, whether you think other people should give it a try as well.